mind of how I wanted my children to be. And I would not let that go. And so I enforced it. And my sons in return did the same because they knew that what I was saying was right.
As Jacquetta softly plays on her piano, she's learning, but she's also taking us into her home as we see the many books that she has written, books that have helped to enrich her family, and her family is a part of what she's doing. Why not go on a journey with us into Jacquetta's home as she takes us through her lovely home that is rich and full of vibrant expressions, and a family that she has structured, and she feels that the family structure is what is needed in order to restore structure in the family. What inspired you to write the book?
Well, actually, the book was about 2 years in the making. And then I became very intentional about finishing the book because I knew all along it was going to be a legacy book, a book for my great-great-grandchildren. And so I made an effort to finish the book looking at the conditions of the world, meaning this. I wanted to make sure that my great-great-grandchildren knew the history of our family, as well as knew and understood some of the principles that my husband and I used to raise our children. When I began to look at the fact, and this is a fact, that slavery and Black history, a lot of that is being taken out of the textbook, trying to abandon the truth about history so that our children in school now, or those children who are in school now and future children, may not even know the stories of history. And so I said that I'm going to make sure that my family knows our history and knows many of the things that it really took for us to get to where we are. And so it was important for me to implement in the book principles, guidelines, procedures that we used.
Yes, that was my next question. What are some of the key points that people should take away from reading your book? So you're talking about principles, guidelines.
Yes, and overall, I want people to take away the value of being disciplined, the value of raising your children in a disciplined way, and in an orderly way, to have those guidelines, to have non-negotiable standards. That's what I always would say to my children. We have non-negotiable standards. I'm not going to compromise with you on this issue, you know. And it could be things, important things as understanding and knowing how to conduct conversations or how to be at the dinner table, or simple things like, you better not cuss at your siblings. Because you know, when kids are in high school, they want to use all kind of languages and things like that. And I even tell a story in there about how one time when one of my sons called my niece, who we were raising, an inappropriate name, and oh man, that's unacceptable. And so he'll never forget the punishment that he went through. I mean, I had to take away almost everything. We don't allow that. And so they grew up having a appreciation and value for each other. And I think that that is what is needed. This is something I really want people to hone in on. Because when I see on television young men going into a store and just robbing people or even shooting people or doing things that are just so degrading, then it makes me wonder and think, where was he not
The family
taught?
structure.
What happened in his
Yes.
family? Why didn't someone let him know to the degree that it was in his DNA that that's wrong? I cannot take from other people. I can't harm other people. And so that is why, and I'm very thankful that I can say, and I say it with an humble spirit, but I can say that I have 3 successful sons that I birthed because I had rules and guidelines, and I made them follow the rules.
So where did you get those rules and guidelines from?
So it's historical because my mother in particular had rules and guidelines for us that she got from her family. And so throughout the generations, they had standards, is how I can best describe it. So when we were children, my mother would say that we better not do certain things, because she would always say this, because if you do that, you'll bring a reproach against my family, her family.
Her family.
We were so
Okay.
young, I mean, we didn't even know what reproach meant, but we knew we better not get out of line or we'd find out what reproach meant.
Right.
But my mother came from a very successful family,
Okay.
hardworking people, but they were property owners, business owners, and they were just great. They really were.
So how did your kids and your overall family react to your book? Because you're talking about guidelines, you're talking about principles, and nowadays it seems like a lot of that has been just thrown out the window. It's just do your own thing.
Some family members reacted very favorable to the book. A couple of them did not. I think a couple of them, this is interesting, but they did not want certain things reflected about our family. Those would be a couple of my siblings, okay? Because you know how it was back then,
Right.
everything had to be
Behind closed
behind
doors.
closed doors and
Yes.
almost a secret. But I do tell a story in the book how my mother, for certain periods of her life, was very, very sad. When she had 7 children, she was a nurse and she had to work very hard to keep our family up to the standard of her family. And so that alone brought in a lot of anxiety and so forth. And so a couple people, you know, they didn't want those kind of things said, but the truth will set you free.
Yes.
So, but my children, they all love the book.
Okay.
My nieces, nephews, oh my goodness, they all absolutely love the book because they are now using those same principles to raise their children.
Okay.
And I'm just blessed to say that I have great grandchildren. My sons, they believe in the principles we use. They didn't always agree with it, but they believed in it because
Okay.
they've done well themselves.
Do you feel families can really bring family life back to some kind of order? Do you think that's possible in today's world?
I think that our world is in horrific condition. I really do. But I will never stop thinking, hoping, and believing that there is hope.
Okay.
And I say that because while, first of all, I think people should decide what do they want to see in their family. You see, the problem is a lot of people in the next generation or the generation behind me, they don't know what they want to see. They're kind of doing their own thing, and then that next generation is even worse. They're really doing their own thing. And so a lot of people don't have that picture of the tribe that they want.
Right.
See, I had a vision in my mind of how I wanted my children to be, and I would not let that go. And so I enforced it. And my sons in return did the same because they knew that what I was saying was right. So sadly, some parents now, I mean, they're drinking with their children, getting high with their children. I mean, there's just no standard that would gain respect. And so I think the first step is that people should decide what they want to see in their children and their grandchildren and even their great-grandchildren. And that's why I think there is hope if they could just get the picture of that.
So, in reading, going through your book, you mentioned a documentary hosted by Samuel L. Jackson, which is relevant to your book, and I had a chance to watch it. I don't know if it was pretty involved. How did you feel that connected with your book?
So Samuel Jackson's documentary was it was history, very much history, very much showed the factual things that happened in the whole slave trade and the different areas and how people survived through it all. And because my great-grandmother came here directly from Africa as a slave and went to a particular plantation, which our family had to take on the plantation owner's last name, which was McConnell. And so my great-grandmother, she really went through a lot to hold her family together. And so in Samuel Jackson's documentary, it did show a lot of all that people had to go through just to hold it together. If you could only imagine what it was like for them, they had to have hope that things would change and be better, because we're the only culture who is in a land that is not ours. We had to learn a language that does not belong to us. And that alone, even the things that happen, when you think about forbidding a group of people to read, so 300 years and you're not even allowed to read, imagine what that does to a people.
Culture. Yes,
you know.
yes.
And so I applaud all the documentaries and the historical writings and of things that people put together. We've got to be reminded. And so in my book, that's all I was trying to do as well, remind our family and others of what it's going to take to hold a family together.
Now, last question. You have written several other books.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about those books, and tell me how can someone get a copy of any of your books. They can either contact me or contact you, or if they're online. Tell me about those other books that you've written.
Okay, so one book is called Loyalty, The Pathway to Promotion. And I wrote this book during my time. I was an executive director for a 26,000 member ministry. And so I was their executive director for probably almost 20 years. And I learned a lot in the importance of leadership, what leaders are supposed to do, shouldn't do, and how we have to develop people on our journey of working with nonprofit organizations, and the importance of not forgetting the people who are giving their lives to work to promote ministries or nonprofit organizations. And that's real important to me. As a matter of fact, I'm in a PhD program, and I'm very happy about it. Although I'll tell you, it is almost frightening. There are so many assignments and books to read, but I have a very unique aim for my dissertation. And so, and I'm going to write another book about it when I'm done.
Okay.
But it's focusing on the leader behind the leader and what's going on with those people who are making that primary leader look so great, but how are they being developed? Another book was kind of a fun book. It's called My Manners Matter. And so it's about the polite way, the polite and professional way to treat people. And I did hone in on church, how
Right.
you treat people when you are at church, going to church, coming to church or whatever. But it was also for my grandsons, because I have a major section in there about table manners, and I have diagrams of where all the utensils should be and what fork to use for a salad or dinner, and just things like that, and how to pass the salt and pepper shakers together.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so my grandsons, when we would be out to dinner as a family, they would just mock me and, well, Grammy, which way should we pass the salt? And we would get a big laugh out of it, but they know
Okay.
they were trained to do
And
what's
I think
right.
that's important. It's
I do
all
too.
part of the whole family structure, which
That's
is why
right.
things are breaking down now, and you're seeing people aren't paying attention to that anymore, because it's like it's a lost cause, a lost generation.
Yes.
According to AI, the structure of the family has changed dramatically over the past several decades, shaped by social, economic, cultural, and technological factors. While the traditional so-called nuclear family, a married couple with biological children, remains common, it is no longer the only or dominant model in many societies.